DIYers. Good morning, brand DIYers. It is Mark here on a kind of gross Monday morning. It's rainy season in Victoria and kind of gray skies and drizzly. But we've got a great topic for you. And this one actually is something that I have been practicing for dozens of years. This is something that I learned working in advertising, and it is the solution to a problem that is common to all of us, whether you are a brand professional or an entrepreneur trying to sell an idea. It is something that all of us experience, and the problem is very frustrating, feels very unfair, and the solution is not only rewarding, but it actually makes your life easier. So let me paint the scenario for you. In advertising, it isn't that common to hear someone come back from a meeting and say, hooray, we sold the ideas that we wanted to sell. More often it's, the client didn't like our ideas, we have to go back to the drawing board. It's very disheartening, especially if you spend days, if not weeks, working on new ideas. Well, we tried to figure out how to increase our win rate in advertising, because every time we go back to the drawing board, obviously, it's not only going to cost us frustration, but it costs the agency a lot of hours and money. So we want to get better at this if we at all can. What we figured out, and this is very basic human psychology, in order for ideas to succeed, they need to be shared ideas. And even better, for an idea to succeed, you want to create the feeling, even if it's a bit of an illusion, that the person you're presenting to is actually your collaborator. It's not a client. Now, this is very important, and it's also quite subtle. If a person is a client, they come into a room, they may or may not have done a brief with you to say, this is exactly what we want from the work. If they did a brief, chances are the brief was superficial. They just said, yeah, whatever, let's just sell some chewing gum. And they didn't really put any thought to it. So what happened between the time that you did the brief and the 1 week that you took to present, come up with the ideas and then present the ideas, was to your client a black hole, a vacuum. Nothing happened. So they went from nothing to a formed idea that gets presented to them. They weren't there for the ride. They didn't come along and participate in the process. They just got presented to at the very end. So what happens? If somebody wasn't part of creating an idea, it's very easy for them to do this. And look at you and go, I don't like that idea. That wasn't what I had in my mind, even though they probably had nothing in their mind. But it isn't hard for them to say, I don't like that idea. The way to solve that problem, the problem in itself, is that the client, it's not that they didn't like the idea, it's that the client felt they weren't active in the coming up with the idea. It isn't their idea, it's your idea. The way to solve this problem is to turn your client from a judge into a collaborator. Now, the most successful approach to doing this that I have found is to break down the presentation process into multiple presentations. So you do a brief with the client. That is phase one. The next phase is actually showing them basically cocktail napkin notes written in a Sharpie pen. Here's an idea, here's an idea, here's an idea, here's an idea. What do you think? And then they have the feeling none of these ideas are fully formed. They're just scribbles with a Sharpie pen on a cocktail napkin. This is the time where I can really express my creativity because there's not that much at stake yet. So they say, I like this, and let's put these two together. You say, that's terrific. We'll be back to you shortly, very quickly, not weeks, days. You come back to them, and now the ideas that they selected have been a little more well formed, but there are still options. Oh, we took your idea, but it could go like this, it could go like this, it could go like this. What do you think? Again, they're being asked to collaborate on the idea, and they go, I think we should combine this with this and a little bit of that. Still, they have not taken a picture of anything that is more refined than a stick drawing human or a couple of words scribbled on a piece of paper with a Sharpie. From that point on, you can come back to them again and again. And sometimes when we did big presentations, we came back to clients 3 and 4 times before the presentation. What happens if you do this is that by the time it gets to the presentation, the client already knows what's going to be presented. It's basically just us getting together with the client so they can put a signature on the approved concept and we can get on our way producing it. Because now it is their idea. They've seen it in all the period of gestation and incubation, and they feel like it's their idea, like they have ownership. And that is how you sell a creative idea. So, how does this apply to you if you're an entrepreneur or a founder and you have a new piece of technology, or you're trying to sell a bubble gum, or God only knows what? Well, the same thing applies. You have to sell that product to another human being. Now, if you're selling a low price, low value item like, say, bubble gum, I think that the first thing you want to try is to have people who are bubblegum fans try out your bubblegum and help you figure out which bubblegum is the best. Not only that though, but you want to ask the people who are chewing on that bubblegum in your test group how that bubblegum makes them feel. What pops to mind, how it compares with other bubblegums out there. That way, you can start to tap into their ideas and it can make your eventual launch of that bubblegum more successful because it's more what the average consumer had in mind. If you have a higher value item, let's say a photocopier or a car, something like that, and you want to launch that idea, I would say that the same principle applies. You want to bring people in, and they call it the process of customer discovery. That is when you work with a customer on the idea saying, what do you think? We are selling a car. How many wheels should it have? 4? Great. How big should it be? This big? Great. Should it be fast or slow, sporty or secure? What do you think? And what you do, you present the idea, you get their feedback on the idea, you pull back, you design a little more, you come back to them again and again and again until eventually your idea is the idea they had in their head right from the start. It's a big no-brainer for them. So that is how you can take this process of taking a consumer from the position of being a judge, closed arm, going, that's not what I want, to being a collaborator where they think, hey, that feels like I came up with the idea. That is so awesome. That is totally the car for me. Now, I believe that there are a few important stages if you're doing the process of customer discovery that you want to bring the product to the consumer in for very different reasons. First, you want to work with the consumer in the development of the idea, and that's what we just described. Here's my idea. What do you think? Tweak it a little? Okay, here it is again. What do you think? All right, tweak it a little. Here it is again. What do you think? Tweak it a little. That you want to start with a piece of paper and take it forward. And then when you're actually developing the product and it's about 80% there, 90% there, you want to bring it back to them one more time and say, listen, it's 90% done, but there's still a tiny bit of room for improvement. What do you think? How would it help for you to give me a little more feedback so you can just put your signature on it and go, that is the car that I want? That's the first stage, which is the napkin stage. The second stage, which is the nearly done stage. And then the third stage, I think, is one of the most important stages because that is where communication comes in. Free communication on behalf of your product. At the final stage, the product is done and you present it to your customer and you go, ta-da! Here's the car that you and I worked on together. Isn't it great? And they go, yes, it is great. That's exactly what I wanted. And you say, well, if you love it so much, here's my ask to you. My ask to you is that you tell your 5,000 closest friends on social media about this car and ask them to come and check it out. This is something that I do with virtually every single idea I develop. If I'm doing something for brand DIY and we develop a new power pack, a little mini course, these are things that I try out on half a dozen people, and they co-create the little pitch pack with me, or power pack with me. And then what I do, once it's done, I say, all right, it's done. Will you give it a testimonial? Yes, we will, because it's basically ours. 2, will you tell your 5,000 closest friends on social media about this product? Of course we will, because we're so proud of it, because it's our product. So there you go. 3 stages of turning a judge into a collaborator. First, at the napkin stage, the brief stage, the Sharpie pen on a cocktail napkin stage. Second stage, the product is almost finished and you just sort of want to tweak it a little bit more, and you invite the collaborator in to tweak it with you so that you can get their sign off on it and they go, ta-da, I love that. It's like I made it myself. Third stage, where you bring them back and you say, it's done, it's ready to roll. Will you give it your testimonial, a video testimonial? And 2, will you tell your 5,000 closest friends on social media that you absolutely love this new car and they should buy one too? So you can take this process of turning someone from a judge into a collaborator and actually turn it into an incredibly powerful medium for advertising your new idea. So I hope that helps. I'm looking forward to another expert day tomorrow. We've got an expert in. And Thursday, of course, we've got another entrepreneur coming in. But it's going to be a busy week for me. I hope it is for you as well. Take care of yourself. And if you've got anything that you want to feedback, any new ideas, any questions, post them up here on branddiygroup.com as well. If you like what's going on here, please tell your 5,000 closest friends to join up. Talk to you soon.